All right, I have a big 49ers update for you. The news happened nearly simultaneously, but Christian McCaffrey is the offensive player of the year for the 2023-2024 season, and Patrick Willis has been voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations to 49ers legend Patrick Willis, and he revolutionized linebacker play in this league. I think people need to realize that. This guy was over 240 pounds and he was covering wide receivers. Linebackers, back in the 80s, the 90s, throughout the early 2000s, used to be big, bulky guys who would back the line, linebacker, literally. Well, they didn't really cover, and they had to start covering because offenses evolved into more spread formations. Patrick Willis was the first linebacker that was able to credibly do that. And because of that, the league has changed a lot over the years since he's played. The linebackers have gotten smaller. They cover a lot now. The 49ers have the two best linebackers in the National Football League. But Patrick Willis did it at 240 plus pounds. Just a fantastic player. I still remember the pick six against the Seattle Seahawks up there in the Pacific Northwest. One of the most athletic plays that you'll ever see. The massive hit against the New York Jets. That one is replayed over and over again. There was really no weakness in Patrick Willis's game, and he is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. You can't forget Navarro Bowman when you talk about Patrick Willis. 49ers have that dual linebacker thing going on now with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Well, it was Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. And then there was Christian McCaffrey, the Offensive Player of the Year, by a landslide. There was not a close second. 222 total points for Christian McCaffrey. Second, I think, was CeeDee Lamb. I think it was like 150 something. If you want to look at the all-purpose yardage leaders this season, you'll see it right here. Christian McCaffrey, number one, with 2,023 all-purpose yards. CeeDee Lamb was number two. He's a receiver way behind. The next highest running back was Breece Hall, 1,584 all-purpose yards. So Christian McCaffrey way above the second highest running back. I think it's 473 yards above him. As you can see, McCaffrey also won the rushing title, 1,459 yards for Christian McCaffrey this year. Absolute gravitational force on the field. It was a historic offensive season. Speaking of the Hall of Fame for this man, Patrick Willis, Christian McCaffrey's on his way to the Hall of Fame at some point too. Just keep on putting up seasons like he's been putting up, and it's going to be a first ballot lock for Christian McCaffrey into the Hall of Fame. But he is absolutely on the right pace to do that. You got a little quote from Christian McCaffrey after winning the Offensive Player of the Year award. Let us listen in to this. Let me put Christian's name up on the screen too. Here we go.
This award means a lot. I have so much gratitude for so many people. It's obviously a little bit weird accepting an individual award the week of the Super Bowl. I think that's definitely my main focus right now, but I feel extremely honored to receive this award. And I think it's not just an award for me, but an award for the entire offense and all of my teammates who have gotten me to this point. I'm nothing without them, and I appreciate every single one of them.
How cool is it that he credits his entire team? And I think that speaks to the ethos of who the 49ers are about offensively. Brock Purdy was 7th in Offensive Player of the Year voting. We'll see what happens with MVP voting. I think it's clear to anybody who's watched the game this year that Brock Purdy was the most valuable player. I think Christian McCaffrey was the best player, but obviously MVP is a quarterback thing. I doubt that Purdy will win. I'm guessing by the time most of these people watch this show, it'll probably be Lamar Jackson, although Purdy outperformed Jackson in essentially every metric as a quarterback this season. But either way, it was Purdy and McCaffrey, right? Both of them Hall of Fame finalists. Both of them MVP finalists. Both of them top 5 in the league. There are only 5 MVP finalists every single season, and McCaffrey and Purdy were 2 of them. And the symbiotic relationship between both of these players. I mean, I wrote the big piece earlier this season. That's one I should probably get up on the screen. Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, and the initial success with the 49ers. This is something that truly, truly illustrates what San Francisco has built and what this program is all about. The fact that Brock Purdy was the one on the practice field helping Christian McCaffrey shortly after he was traded, right after he was traded from the Carolina Panthers to get him ready to play the Kansas City Chiefs of all teams. Purdy learned the playbook or doubled down on the playbook while he was helping McCaffrey learn the playbook. And it was totally unselfish. And now you hear Christian McCaffrey speaking of his Offensive Player of the Year award completely unselfishly. Football is a team sport. Way too many people are fixated on individual performances. But as you heard Christian McCaffrey just say, this Offensive Player of the Year award, these all-purpose yards, it belongs to the whole offense. He recognizes that guys have to block for it to happen. He recognizes that Brock Purdy has to get him the ball for it to happen. He recognizes that football is not about just one person, and that's what so much of the discourse has wrong and so much of the media has wrong. And I think that, obviously the voting was good enough to get both Purdy and McCaffrey into the top 5 of the MVP voting. They absolutely both should have been there. I mean, and maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see that MVP award go to Purdy, but in all likelihood, it's going to go to Lamar Jackson, and you've got Purdy and Christian McCaffrey as finalists, with McCaffrey as the Offensive Player of the Year, which obviously was deserved given the numbers that he put up. Over 2,000 all-purpose yards. There wasn't another running back above 1,600. There wasn't another player, receiver or running back, above 1,900. I remember Christian McCaffrey putting up that type of season at Stanford and getting robbed of the Heisman Trophy in 2015. He had 3,864 all-purpose yards because he was returning kicks and punts then. So he was able to rack up even more of those yards. And officially now, Lamar Jackson has won the MVP. So the order, Josh Allen got the other first place vote. So Lamar Jackson had 49 out of 50 first place votes. Josh Allen had 1 first place vote, but he finished 5th. Dak Prescott finished 2nd. Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy finished 3rd and 4th. So 1 Lamar Jackson, 2 Dak Prescott, which tells you all you need to know about the legitimacy of this voting. How Dak Prescott finished ranked ahead of both Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey is a complete joke. 3rd, Christian McCaffrey. 4th, Brock Purdy. And 5th, Josh Allen. How Dak Prescott finished ahead of Josh Allen doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, you got to toss your hands up at some point. On what planet was Dak Prescott even a candidate to be the most valuable player this season? I mean, to be a finalist is nuts to me. Sure, he put up some decent numbers this season, but the Cowboys offense did not make a resounding impact with anyone this year. It wasn't the top offense in the league. And I mean, we all saw 42-10. We all saw the big picture. I hate zeroing in on one game, but we all saw the big picture. Prescott was nowhere near Brock Purdy's level. And he was nowhere near Josh Allen's level, if we're going to go ahead and play that game. But Josh Allen finished 5th. So that's the MVP voting. The MVP voting, they didn't get it right, as you could see through some of those. I mean, it's simple. Just look at the objective data. Just look at the way that some of these guys have produced. And I think that, unfortunately for Purdy and for Christian McCaffrey, the voting stopped after the regular season. But for Purdy especially, people found out what he was all about after that regular season ended, in the postseason. When they saw him make those comebacks, it took that for a lot of people to understand what was, I think, already obvious to those who knew what they were watching with Purdy earlier. But they saw the precision and they saw the game-changing ability to not only see the field, but move in a way that could extend plays and create outside of structure. And then they saw the intelligence from Brock Purdy to be able to discern when he needed to create outside of structure and when he needed to stay within structure. That's what those comebacks were all about. And I think that this was a good prelude to future MVP campaigns for Brock Purdy. Anyway, that's the news. Christian McCaffrey's the Offensive Player of the Year. Patrick Willis has been named a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He'll be inducted in July or August, whenever that Hall of Fame induction is later this year. That's your 49ers update. We'll see you soon from the Super Bowl.